just like the really hilarious to watch.
Let's do it. Listen, welcome to the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Kirk, I've got a TV behind me right now. We are in the middle. Yeah, we got a TV man behind you right now. Pretty cool. We are just kicking off. Last week was amazing, talking about sitcoms with Dennis. We are still in October, which that means it's all about TV, all these new fall lineup of TV shows that are coming out. So we decided to celebrate it. And it's been a blast so far. We've had some awesome comments, a lot of sitcoms, a lot of different opinions of what are the top sitcoms. It's just been a great time. Kirk, what are we going to talk about today? How are we going to continue celebrating October?
We're going to talk about Rushmore and chill. That's what we're going to talk about. And whoa, we're going to do a little Netflix till we die, a little Hulu, a little binge watching of television. Look, get the ice cream out, get the soda, maybe some popcorn, hang out on the couch with your besties, your lady, whatever, and we're watching television all night long. What do you got about that, man?
It is all about binging the TV shows. Look, there are so many shows. We talked about this. This was difficult to put together, but what are the shows that we just can't stop at one episode?
So here's the thing, though. Like, as I was thinking about it, binge-worthy television shows, there's tons of them. And actually, because of going into this, there's a few that I've decided to start watching that I haven't watched. And so I'm thinking if we're going to binge it, right, you're going to watch excessive amounts of it. And it's worth watching. It's not something that you're going to shut off after the first episode or two. And here's the thing. The way TV is nowadays, this is my favorite way to kind of watch TV, to be honest. Like, the old way of waiting for a weekly episode is it's dated. And so this is kind of where we're at as a society in humanity. So let's see what we can do for binging. Binging some television.
And at the end, we're going to have some binge amends.
Binge amends for everybody. Yeah, man.
Because we can't just end it at 4. So, hey, without any further ado, let's get ready for our Rushmore of binge-worthy TV episodes.
Let's go. Let's get it.
Kirk, let's get started with today, but we are going to welcome in a special friend of the show. Who we got with us today, Kirk?
Yeah, man. So couple months back, while I was working at Frontline, I had a friend show up, wanted to spend some time hanging out with the homeless, hanging out, doing ministry. We've done strip club ministry where we kind of go there and minister to the ladies. Our ladies minister to the ladies, and we kind of drive the caravan around. We've done a few different things, but become a great friend. This is his second time, but actually we were kind of talking about it. One of those trivia questions that might come up. He's actually been on the show 3 times because we screwed up an episode, right? So, and we had to refilm it. But if you guys go back and watch in our movie time, so of course we're going to bring him back for TV, but back in movie time, he was here. I think it was for the series, right? The sagas and the series. Was that it?
Reboots.
He did reboots. But anyways, welcome to the show, our good friend, all the way from Canada by way of Pakistan, our friend Kaab.
What's up, man? Hi. Thank you for the exotic introduction.
Now, Kaab, we're going to have to be a little low key because last time you were on the show, it just caused all kinds of turmoil in your family. So we love you if you're watching. But hey, so Kaab, do you like TV too, man? You like TV?
I do. I'll put it this way. I'm very choosy about what I watch. Well, what I watch with loyalty.
So, with loyalty. So it sounds like something kind of like Andy. Andy, I know you love TV, but like I've watched probably more TV than you,
Yes.
but you've watched more of your shows than anybody I know.
I'm very much like Kaab in that, where it's I get stuck on one thing and I'll obsess over it and I'll watch that 80 times. So I get it.
I'm gonna tell y'all guys this. Like when I was younger, I used to love watching the same shows over and over. Like come home from school, it'd be Saved by the Bell, 90210, some kind of cartoon, some whatever. And it didn't matter what episode was on. I'm watching it. It's there. I'm going to spend time watching it. Now, I feel like watching TV, I only have a few years left. Like, I'm 44. I maybe got another, hopefully 44 years left. I don't want to waste it watching something I've already watched. That's just how I am. And that's what kind of goes through my brain. And it's like, when I go to rewatch something, it's like I'm not as involved. I'm not as in it. And so, that's kind of where my criteria went today.
Man, I've watched so many of these shows multiple times and binged them that I feel like characters are family members. Like I know a lot about them. And Kaab, I'm sure you feel this too. Like when you watch something and it's like something happens to that character, you're hurt deep down.
Question.
I also want to know.
How often do you boys cry because of something that happened in a television show?
More times than I care to admit.
Yeah, probably me too. But usually it's movies. TV is a little different. TV, it's usually the ending, right? That one ending or whatever. There's not many shows like This Is Us or something like that makes you cry every freaking week, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways. Man, what's our order today, man? Am I going first?
No.
No.
To you. We're going to give it to
our friend. So, Kaab, you're going to start us off. We started that last week. And then we're going to go to me and then you, Andy. Is that how we're going to do it?
We can do whatever you want to.
We'll do
as long as
so, Kaab, you're going to start off the mountain. It's Rosie. You've been here before. We don't need to really go over it. What is your 4? What's your line in the sand of your most binge-worthy? Well, first off, tell us what you were thinking, criteria-wise.
Of course, criteria-wise, I think we're all on the same page here. All the shows that I picked, I think the 4 that I'm going to talk about and the 4 that didn't quite make the cut, I have binge-watched. I binge-watch regularly. One of them I binge-watched just this weekend. So, yeah.
Little current event.
Yeah, a little current event, But it's something that I have binge watched several times, and therefore I feel they're totally bingeable for anybody. I guess broader than that, I would say bingeable just means enjoyable no matter how many times you watch them. Because some shows, you watch them once, maybe twice, and they kind of lose their appeal. Everything I'm going to say is just, it just never seems to lose that.
Yeah, and I'm excited for your shows because I know you're a little more eclectic. You have a little bit more culture than us Americanos, and I believe you're going to bring in a little touch of love.
Culture us, Kaab. What you got for your?
Tell us, what are we binging tonight? Netflix is on.
Spoiler alert: almost everything I picked is American, so just putting that out there.
Okay. Never mind.
Okay, my Rosie is. I'm going back to nostalgia. I used to watch this show as a middle school kid all the time. 8 Simple Rules.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. And so I haven't seen this as much. I've seen a couple episodes of this, but tell us about it. Tell us what's going on there.
So for those that don't know, the premise is basically, it's like these 3 teenage kids, 2 girls and a boy, and basically going through all the shenanigans that teenagers go through, boyfriends, girlfriends, sibling rivalries, fighting with the parents, the whole thing. The show has a bit of a U-turn midway into its 2nd season because its main star, who I think was John Ritter, actually passed away. Like the actor actually passed away.
Right. So I was thinking that was that show. Yep.
So they had to bring in actually some pretty well-known actors.
Didn't they bring in James Gardner?
They did. They brought in James Gardner as the grandpa, and I think he just carried that same level of appeal, the same humor.
It wasn't one of the Saturday Night Live guys on that too.
David Spade, right?
David Spade.
David Spade. Yep. as Uncle CJ, though not much of an uncle, more of a careless cousin, I call him. But
That's a great show.
I just love watching that show. And maybe it's because I have two sisters, even though I'm the oldest, unlike Rory, who's the youngest, but still I might be able to relate more to it. But I just love watching the sister fights, the brother-sister fights. It's just timeless. I laugh every time I see it. It's just amazing.
And if anybody has actually watched last week in our sitcom episode, this would fit perfectly. And,
I was gonna say you're a week late on this, Kaab. We should have had you last week, but
dude,
hey, that's good.
Yeah,
you can binge sitcoms.
I love sitcoms.
Awesome. Sitcoms are fun, but if you watched our episode last week, me and Andy kind of were like, man, we loved sitcoms so much when we were younger, but we don't necessarily love them so much. One of the funny things, did you see Francisco's comment there, Andy? I don't know if that's a sitcom that's more of a comedic procedural.
Yeah.
Francisco, you're going way too deep for me, buddy. Your criteria is going to be awesome when you're on the show in December. I can't wait. Dude, so I guess, Andy, have you seen this?
Yes, I've seen it. It was kind of short-lived, 3 seasons or whatever. Obviously, John Ritter passing halfway through was a big thing. Makes me think of Three's Company.
Whenever I think of John Ritter, it's definitely Three's Company.
But that was definitely
like Problem Child or something like that.
Yeah. So that was good. I never binged it, but I did watch it. So I respect it. Good choice.
So that's the show. That's the show I binged. That's this last weekend, by the way.
Okay. Is it on one of the major big ones right now?
Actually, it's on YouTube. Someone just put all of it on
YouTube. So. YouTube's where it's at. So look, after you watch our show here on YouTube, you can kind of go on over there and post a comment that it's there. So, all right, my turn, I guess. So when I was thinking about Bingeworthy, first and foremost, I have a lot of favorite shows. I just told you guys, there's not often that I rewatch a show, but every show that I picked is something that I have actually binge watched in the past. It's something that I've gone through from the beginning to the end. I've seen every one of all my shows, even on my Benjamin criteria, my extras. I've seen the majority. There's some of them I haven't seen the majority because of maybe I missed the last season or something like that. But all of these I've seen pretty much the majority. And the only one that I probably missed multiple of was this first one. And this first one is kind of my wild card. We talked right before the show. I almost doubted putting it in this, but gosh, let me just go back to about 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago, I gave away my kidney to a wonderful friend. And the first thing I watched when I got out of the hospital was this, and I was dying laughing so much, I almost busted a stitch, right? So I am dying laughing. I couldn't laugh. If my daughter was here, she'd be laughing about how I laughed. I was going, but dude, I can't stop watching it because I just absolutely love this show. They just had a little bit of a shakeup with it this past season. It's still running, and I wanted to go see these guys when they were in concert. But I am picking none other than some of my favorite things. The Impractical Jokers. Look, I contemplate not putting this on because I know it's going to be on something maybe later. But hey, this is one of my favorite comedy anything. So I talked about sitcoms last week. I was like, can I get this in a sitcom? It's not really a sitcom. Oh God, I love this show beyond belief. I can watch every episode. I will rewatch the episodes. I'm like, come watch this episode with me again. Now, see, this is the type of thing that I can rewatch. And so I don't know that I've seen all of them because I didn't start watching it necessarily like from the beginning and just, I'm going to make sure I see everyone, but I watch them for extensive amounts of time. If I watch one, I watch 12. And then, like when I go back home to Louisiana and stay with Brittany's dad, he actually still has cable. And this is one of those shows that I go to sleep with because it's playing on like True TV nonstop. So I'm binging it to go to bed every night. I love this show. And they just lost one of the members. He's going through a bad divorce, or he just went through, and so it's not completely the same. But I love Murr, I love Sal. Gosh, these guys are just so freaking funny. So if you guys haven't seen this show, you have to. It's my fave, dude. It's totally my favorite show.
This is a great pick, and yeah, it doesn't surprise me because you talk about this show all the time.
166 episodes, so I know I haven't seen them all. Now, wait, I will say this. The one thing about them is it's not always appropriate. There's sometimes I'm watching my kids, I'm like, we can't watch this one. Turn it off. But they've done some funny stuff. Oh my gosh. And if you don't know the premise of the show, just for you people that may not be cultured in this hilarity, is essentially they're pranking each other, and they have to go into like public places, and the three others, or sometimes 2 versus 2, are like talking into a mic and forcing them to kind of do something, kind of like the candid camera days back in the day, and they have to do something silly, and if they don't do it, they get a down. And if you get too many downs, then you have to do this major thing at the end, as well as like we talked about it for fantasy football. You lose fantasy football, we got to get a tattoo. Like these guys, actually, the losers got tattoos. Like it's just hilarious, and they got the pick. But Impractical Jokers. Kaab, you like this show? Have you watched this show?
I have watched it. I love it. It's hilarious. I was kind of glad that they came back because COVID really affected, because a lot of their pranks involve kind of close contact with strangers, like putting your head on some stranger's shoulders or putting
one of my favorite ones is when he takes out the long fork and he just keeps adding it, and he goes he's like in the mall like food court, and he stretches the fork out real far, and he takes somebody's food and he pulls it back in and eats it from like 7 foot away. Dude.
Oh man,
this show is so funny. When they act like they're blind, or they act like they're in a wheelchair and they need help. I mean, it's
just hilarious.
They are.
I could never be on that show because
100%. So that's another thing. Reason why I watch this show, because I am such an introvert, and we've talked about this. There is not a chance. There is not a chance I would be on this show. Yeah. Not a chance. Like they could pay me lots. No. I'm not doing it. My favorite's like they're holding signs and standing out. I don't even return my fast food when it's wrong. No way. I would not do this.
Right. I feel that.
Anyways, there's my Rosie. That's how I'm starting this thing off, man.
Good pick. So I'll go ahead and wrap up the Rosies here. But my criteria, here you go. There's so many TV. We said at the top of this, like I get hooked on certain things. So I wanted to try to break away from that. If you've watched the Rushmore Show for any length of time, I've shared multiple times how much I love comedy. Comedy is my thing. I just want to laugh when I watch TV. I don't want to think too much. But when I thought about binge-worthy shows, I said, look, we're talking all month, and we've got 5 weeks this month, Kirk, of October, right? So we got a lot of TV that we're going to cover this month, 1 extra episode than normal. So, without just copying everything I said, because look, last week I said The Office and Parks and Rec were my top 2 sitcoms. They would easily make my binge shows now because I binge them, right? But I said, you know what? Instead of just copying what I'm doing, I'm going to totally think outside of the box from my normal. And I'm going to eliminate comedy. Now, one of my shows is funny, but its main genre is not comedy. So we'll get to that when we get there. But the comedy's not there. I had to have binged it at some point. I didn't say I had to have watched the entire series, because you can watch a show and currently be binging it, but have not seen the whole thing. So in fact, two of mine, probably 3 of mine, haven't seen everything. One of them is like 400 some odd episodes. So I don't think I've seen all of those episodes, but I had to have at some point binged it, whether it was on a streaming device, whether it was actually on TV, anything like that. I've had to have binged it at some point. And that's pretty much my criteria there. So eliminating comedy did a lot. So you're going to get a whole new list from me this week, guys. Like it is totally different. It is off the wall of what I've done in the past.
2 thumbs up.
But we're going to mix it up a little bit. So I'm going to get started with my Rosie. My number 4. This show had 147 episodes and actually is wrapping up very soon. The series finale is closing up, but they've actually had a lot of offshoots of this show, a lot of different storylines that have been seen and explored, and just really cool stuff. I watched it for a very long time. There was a time when I kind of got out of it because it kept doing the same thing to me. But again, I watched it when it came out. So I watched it every week, but then I've binged it since. So I still do count this as binging. And my Rosie, my number 4, The Walking Dead. I'm going with The Walking Dead.
You had to do it. You had to do
show. Listen, guys, if you lived in like 2010, on, and were watching TV and didn't have some idea about what The Walking Dead was, listen, The Walking Dead took over pop culture. Like zombie stuff just happened all over the place. Everybody was doing zombie something. It was this zombie craze. In fact, at the time, Kirk, I don't even know if I've ever shared this with you, so this might be breaking news in this. There was a short period of time where Dennis, who was on last week, and I were putting together this concept band called Zombocalypse, and we were going to dress as zombies. And every song was from the viewpoint of a zombie. Anyway, it was during that time too. So like zombie craze was happening all across America. These were the top of the act. Norman Reedus, you've got all of these guys Andrew Lincoln, that are just these amazing actors that are on the show. And it's a great show. Look, just great storytelling. It's the one where it's like, obviously when you're watching it, when it comes out, you have to wait a week for the next episode, but I'm on the edge of my seat the whole week. It was like the conversation I would have with my friends, like, oh my gosh, did you see what happened to Michonne this week? Or did you see what happened to Rick? Like what is happening? What's going to happen next? Right. But then when you binge it, it's like, one episode is not enough. I've got to go to 2. And then even though it's stuff that I knew that had already happened because I'd seen it prior, I would binge it because the storytelling and the character development and just everything was just top notch. And it would always be something crazy that was happening this week. That's like, you just know it's even going to get worse as it goes on. And like all of this stuff, you're like, how can it get, how are we going to resolve this issue? What's going to happen in this moment? So just brilliant show. I need to probably go back and like pick up where I left off, but there's been so much that I've missed. But it's just, The Walking Dead is so good. So good. Like I said, 140 something episodes, that it's been 147, coming to its end now. But The Walking Dead, my Rosie, I love that show. Did you guys watch that as it was out, or binged it, or anything like that?
So I have a good story about this one. So not a story necessarily, but when I was working in the hospital, going through nursing school,
that's the worst place to work when The Walking Dead comes out, by the way, because it all starts in the hospital.
This show was kind of debuting, if you will, and the nurses would talk about it every week, and just every week, I think it came on Sunday nights, right?
Yep.
So, yep. And then like every week, it's Monday morning, they'd be Monday night, whatever. And I wasn't watching it because it came on AMC. And on AMC at that same time, I was transitioning out of cable and going into like, streaming, Roku's and whatnot. And I didn't have AMC as like a part of my package and the things that I was doing. And I didn't want to just purchase AMC just for that show because I didn't even know if I was going to like it. Right. And so I waited down the road, and I actually, I started way late because I felt like I was so far behind, because I really wanted to have the idea of having these conversations with all my friends who were talking about it, but I was like 3 years behind at that point. And so I watched it, and it was great, but I didn't have the experience that everybody else had when they were kind of week to week, if you will. And I binged it, and I watched all the way up, and I'll never forget it. I actually know the exact episode I stopped at, and I think it's called the Chupacabra or something like that. But it was the episode where the zombie was in the well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's the last episode I watched. I think it was like episode 15 or 16.
Yeah, that's pretty early.
It was like the end of the season 1, in the middle, like kind of in the early stages of season 2. And I stopped watching there. I didn't stop watching for any reason that like I didn't like the show or it wasn't I wasn't hanging on to every whatever. I just had some other things I wanted to watch, and I've never gone back. And then like Fear of the Walking Dead has released all these other things, and I even like, I own a comic book or two of that stuff. I've got some other like things from that just because I'm kind of nerdy and geeky. But anyways, I knew you were once you said it's still going on and it's about to end, and I knew that you watched this and you were a part of the craze. I was like, oh, it's going to be TW. Yeah.
Cobb, did you ever watch The Walking Dead?
I haven't ever seen a single episode of this show.
Yeah.
So here's also another thing. My family didn't want to watch this one. Like, this wasn't one that was just like I would have had to watch it by myself. And like watching it by myself with like not having that conversation. Like I didn't even have Brittany just go, dude, that was so awesome. I can't wait till next season or next week. Like, it was just where I was at. It was just kind of watching it. And so that's one of the reasons I kind of stopped. There was
two things about it I want to share real quick because I want to move on to our TJs. But I remember you said this is Sunday nights. I remember there were nights where I would skip watching the Saints game, like if they were playing Sunday Night Football, to watch The Walking Dead. And like, or vice versa, I would skip Walking Dead. This would be what it would be. I would skip Walking Dead to watch the Saints game, and then the Saints would like lose horribly. And I was like, man, I skipped this for nothing. Now I've got to go through my whole week because social media is a thing. Got to stay off social media because people are going to spoil it because it's my friends. They're going to spoil what's happening. I had to wait till the next Sunday because they would re-air the last week's episode before the new week's episode.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I would binge it right there, 2 episodes. I guess technically you can binge that. And I would have to be caught up like that. So like, it was a whole thing. It was a strategically planning it out. The other thing is that when my oldest was born, we were watching Walking Dead at that time, and my wife and I were really into it. So this did help, having my wife into it. We just we watched it, got to talk about it and things like that. I remember like rocking her to sleep as a newborn, watching The Walking Dead. Like, she's not old enough to understand what's happening or be scared or anything like that. But when something crazy would happen, I would be like, oh, and like try not to wake her up and everything. I have memories of that. So
bro,
just a great.
When you just said that, you're like, I used to watch it with my wife and stuff, and I used to rock her to sleep. I'm thinking you were rocking Courtney to sleep while you were watching them. I just had this picture of you rocking Courtney to sleep. Oh,
I'm glad you said that, Kirk. That's exactly where my mind
clarifying.
That's where your mind went to. So here's the one thing that I'll share, and then we move on. The one cool thing about The Walking Dead, which I tried to explain this to my wife, it wasn't scary, one, and two, it was not really even about the freaking zombies. Yeah. So, like, at least the parts that I watched, I mean, it was really about the survival part, not necessarily the actual. I mean, it could have been any like end of the world apocalyptic type thing, and watching these guys go through that. And so, it's a great show. It's amazing. There's a reason it's got a cult following. So great pick. All right, so. Kaab,
move on.
TJ, what you got for Jazzy, man?
Look, I picked sitcoms because that's about the only thing I watch on TV. So if you're gonna say bingeable for Kaab, it's gonna be sitcoms.
Yeah.
I picked an older sitcom from the 1980s. It's American. Okay, I haven't gone international just yet. It's known for its, shall we say, quirky humor.
Ooh.
And its youngest star would have been much, much older than any of us.
Okay.
And they're all ladies.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking about the Golden Girls.
Nice.
Man,
Randy, where you at, man? Where you at?
Look, that show is just like the perfect combination. You have Sophia's brash way of talking and her endless stories about Sicily, which are probably all made up anyway. You have Dorothy's like blunt sarcasm, usually at the expense of Rose, but and then you have Blanche's, shenanigans, whatever she's doing, and Rose is just like sheer innocence. She's so innocent, it's just hilarious how ignorant she is. So, and the fact that, I saw it as a kid also, and I just thought it was hilarious that to a kid watching 4 grannies just do all these like silly little things. So I love the show because of that. I love binge watching it just because I think its humor is just spot on, very crafty, very creative. So Golden Girls.
Solid pick,
Golden
man.
Girls.
Let me say this. First of all, Randy, I told you you are not getting kicked out of the Rushmore community for liking the show. You are in the majority. I don't think there's many people out there who are just so against this show. It is great. Also, one of the greatest theme songs of all time. Thank you.
Did it not make it made our show then too, didn't it? Didn't it make our show?
I don't know. Did it?
I think it was a Benjamin. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was a Binge. I don't know, but it's so far back.
Before we were doing Benjamins.
There's a whole story about Betty White we've talked about where
We've talked about we killed
it's another episode.
We also killed a couple things on here on the Rushmore show.
Oh,
Betty White was one of them.
I don't know what's happening with that, but yeah, it's a great pick. Love it.
The Pro Bowl is right there with Betty. Yeah. Also, look, Randy posted it down in the bottom, Kaab, in our last episode that he picked that as one of his sitcoms as his top 4, and he's like, I guess I'm getting kicked out of here. But I'm pretty sure. Not only did we have a whole episode on Betty White, we did the sitcom or the theme song. But we're doing nostalgic TV coming up. I'm sure it's hitting many people there. My
wife is our guest on that episode. I don't want to spoil this, but it's not much of a spoiler. Courtney loves the Golden Girls. Like, if
it's not on there, it's a shocker, right?
Yeah, there's no way it's not. Anyway, yeah.
No, well, good pick. I don't know that I would binge watch Golden Girls. I mean, it's a great show. It's a great show. I just don't know how. I mean, I'd probably watch one or two and be like. Oh yeah, this was fun, and then I'm going to something else. Yeah, but great show. Betty was amazing. Yeah. Oh, that's a great show. All right, guys. So it's my turn for my TJ Jazzy Jeff. I'm going with one of my favorite shows. Now, just probably 10 minutes prior, Andy and I were kind of talking about what our criteria look like. And one of the things you said was the amount of episodes, right? Like feeling that like you're going to binge watch something. You probably want a little bit more episodes. I have a show that I moved from here to later, right? And I'll probably throw it out in the binge, the Benjamins, but it will all make sense later. It'll all make sense later. But this show, dude, I just got done watching it probably 2 months ago. It started in 2012. It had 7 seasons. It aired for 154 episodes. It fits right along. If you were watching last week, I picked Psych, right? I picked the episode Psych, and I got a little flack from it from a few folks, but that's fine. That's fine. The reason I picked it is because I love the idea of the art of observation. And so I had to go with Sherlock Holmes, man. Elementary. I had to go with Elementary. And so I just got done watching this, and this is almost one of those ones I want to restart again, because I know how much stuff I missed. Because when you watch a show like this, and there's several other shows that I thought about putting in this kind of deal, is the way he solves the crimes is by paying attention and observing and deduction and all those things. And there's things that you miss that he noticed. And I like to sometimes rewatch, and it's kind of like going back and rewatching Sixth Sense. The first time you watched it, you didn't realize he was dead. You come back and rewatch it now that you know he's dead, and you're like, oh, I missed all that, right? And so that's one reason I would like to rewatch it. And I mentioned not being rewatchable usually, but I love the show. It takes a twist. It's in the United States. It's in New York. They actually reference a lot of things on like Baker Street and Scotland Yard and things like that. In this, Dr. Watson is actually Lucy Liu, and she is she's Sherlock's doctor to help him recover through addictions. And again, most folks know that me and the wife are 12 years sober, gone through all that. And I'm just really into the idea of recovery and watching Sherlock's character go through recovery and just be who he is. And then also, I guess maybe a little bit of spoiler if you want to watch it. Moriarty, which is Sherlock's main nemesis in this show, is also a lady, and they kind of have a love interest a little bit. And it's so awesome. This show is amazing. I absolutely love the show. And yeah, it's so binge worthy. I'm even thinking about restarting it now, but there's so many other things on my list. It's like, when do I fit that in? So Elementary, my dear Watson, right? That's where that comes from. So my TJ Jazzy Jeff almost didn't make the cut. It would have definitely been in the Benjamins. It was number one. I just moved it up and switched them around. I'm going with none other than Elementary.
Okay. Yeah, so you have to try to fit in a detective type thing on every week this month. Okay, that is your goal. No,
I'll try. Competition detective might be hard.
Yeah, I have not watched this, so I don't really have much to say. Other than
if you like that kind of stuff, you'll love it. If you don't, you'll be uninterested. I mean, there's so many shows like it, and I'm actually going to mention another one later. So
there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Kaab, you watched this show?
I did. I was a little nervous when it came out, just because of, when I think of Sherlock, I think British automatically. So I was a little nervous about Americanizing that character, but they did it.
Well, I mean, they didn't Americanize him; they just put him in America. I mean, he was
but in an American setting almost. I was a little. And I was also a little nervous about Lucy Liu playing.
That's what made me nervous. What made me nervous.
So, but I got to say, I haven't binged it, and I'll have to admit I haven't seen every episode of this either. But I have seen enough to say that I like it.
The ending was fantastic.
Okay,
the ending was fantastic.
Maybe
right, if you watched it all the way through, it's one of those like that. Also makes a good show, right? We talked about it. Dennis talked about it last week. The final episode, we're cutting the ties. Man, the ending to this show, it left a little opening, a little loop out there just in case.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out. I'm sure next time I come over, if football's not on, you'll throw an episode on for me. So, and we'll see if we can add it.
Wait, also the intro to this show is, to me, iconic. It was just really well done. I love it. It's a rat running a race, knocks this, shoots this, makes a gun go off, and destroys like a bust of it's just so Sherlock to me. And you have to be ready. Like, you have to be ready to catch every little quip and go. Great show, man. So Andy, what's your TJ Jazzy Jeff, man? Where are you going?
Let me just say this about Elementary real quick, and then I'm going to move to mine. I don't like details or lists or things like that. So this may be why it doesn't register with me. So anyway, but look,
I mean, you like to watch TV just to kind of like, in probably wrong term, but just so the audience gets it. You like to watch TV just to be more relaxing and veg out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like to kind of go on a journey. I want to go on a journey. I want you to bring me places.
Okay, so I will bring you a place on my TJ Jazzy Jeff, and you had no idea because it's a great segue. That's the best segues that are unplanned. We're going to take a journey. Now, let me just say this before we take our journey. This one got added late. This one is my longest running, I believe. Yeah, it's currently at 419 episodes. Debuted in 2007. Probably a little bit outside of the context of what we're talking binge, because here's the thing. I think you can find it on like Netflix and stuff. I haven't watched it on that. I binge watched it on TV because the channel that plays it constantly. It is there. If it plays 12 episodes in a row. Like, so that's binging, right? It's always in a marathon. It's never just
kind of like Impractical Jokers.
Yeah,
you're watching.
It is just on. Like, if you turn the TV on to this channel
it's just on
at a certain time, I can guarantee you it's on there. But okay, so we're going to take a journey. We're going to hop in a Camaro, and we're going to take a trip down to Flavor Town.
Oh,
I'm going diners, drive-ins,
and dives.
I love this show, man. Guy Fieri. Just a great show. So listen, I don't believe there's going to be anybody watching this that says, "Oh, I've never heard of that. Please explain it." But I'm going to do it anyway. This guy Fieri.
Actually,
right?
Andy, I have never heard of that.
Oh,
Please explain.
It's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Well, Cobb, let me
Fieri. It's Fieri, right? Not
Guy
Fieri,
It looks like
Ferrari,
Fieri, whatever.
Fiero.
Fieri. So anyway, it's Food Network. Okay, so he takes a trip to diners, drive-ins, and dives. These little hole-in-the-wall restaurants, and just talks to the chef, talks to the owner. They cook some food together. It's literally just documenting what's happening at this restaurant. And what it does is it really just brings a lot of business to these small business owners. Kind of guy's heart behind it is that if you've ever seen it before, kind of heard his backstory, he had a pretzel stand as a kid, right? Like he made pretzels and went and sold them. And he's all about like small businesses and supporting entrepreneurs and things like that. So it's a really cool thing there. But what he does, he just goes and highlights different restaurants. Sometimes there will be viewers that write in and say, "Hey, you got to go check this place out." In fact, there's a place right here in Slidell where I'm at that's claimed to fame still is that Guy
LA Pines.
There early on. LA Pines, right. Pastor Ken, who was on a couple of weeks ago, has a men's small group that meets there every Wednesday morning. That same restaurant, it's a tiny little hole in the wall, but it still has the poster up that Guy was here. And but it's just great. Like, so I love food, right? Like one of the things I wanted to be when I was a kid was I wanted to be a chef.
So why the heck don't you cook for us?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, because the dream died really early on when I realized I couldn't cook.
When you realized you couldn't cook?
Yeah. So, but I was interested in it, and I still am. And this show will come on Food Network all the time. I guarantee you right now, if you stop what you're doing and you have cable or chance, go put on Food Network. There's a good chance it's right now. It is Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. The one funny thing about Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives is early on, originally the show visited diners, drive-ins, and dives. There are times now where I'll watch it and I'm like, that's a fancy restaurant. Like this is now restaurants, and restaurants. Like everything is just anyway. So, but he's got so many of these sayings, Flavor Town. He's saying you could put that sauce in a shoe and I would eat it. Like all that kind of stuff that he says, all of the guy-isms that he says. He's got the flames on his shirt. He's got his sunglasses backwards. He's like Smash Mouth of food. He looks like the guy from Smash Mouth, but that cooks. So,
but
very entertaining.
It's kind of kicked It's kind of kicked off his career
Right.
even further. I mean, like he did Minute to Win It, which was on your game shows.
Yes,
right.
He's done Guys Grocery Games. He's done a lot.
He's done a few of those things. I love this show. I say I love the show. I will watch the show, and I don't hate this show. I will watch the show. I don't know that I will binge this show, but with you saying that, there are a whole plethora of ideas that I know I missed that I used to binge a lot on shows like Discovery or any of those kind of things, man, like the Food Network. And I wasn't even thinking in that realm.
Yeah.
After I put the Impractical Jokers. But that makes sense for you because I know that you like that show.
So this is the show that I said is probably the closest to comedy because it is really funny. If you watch it, Guy's just a character. The sayings that he has are funny, but like it isn't designed to be a comedy. So
this could be. So we talked about possibly doing a food show, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could have been on that one, and we talked about reality. It could have possibly been on that one. We talked about doing some other kind of comedy. It could have been on that one. We did game shows. He was there. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to make a couple appearances in the future of Rushmore. So if you don't know him, go check him out. Hey, Kaab, you said you've never seen this, or are you joking?
I hadn't even heard of this till now.
What?
I know. I feel so ignorant.
Do it.
Well, it's probably because he doesn't go to Canada. He only stays in America.
That might be why. Only been in the
He's
U.S.
done
for
some
2
foreign
years.
things before. I think he's later on. I think he started traveling.
Did he go overseas? Or he probably then went to Canada. I mean, I'm sure.
I know he went. I say I know. I'm pretty positive he went to like Ireland and England. So I mean, Canada would be easier. So
Save Canada, save Canada.
Okay, let me ask you this, Kaab. This is just a side note. If Guy Fieri, from what you know of him, from what I've said so far, was to visit and eat something that was quintessentially Canadian, I have a feeling I know what that dish is, but what would you say it would, what would it be that he'd have to eat to say, oh, he came to Canada?
You're thinking of poutine, aren't
That's
you?
exactly what I'm thinking of.
I was gonna say bear stew.
Bears, like literally bear?
Literally bear
Wow.
stew.
Okay. Nice.
Sorry, poutine is French Canada. I don't even talk about that stuff.
Okay,
I think you're cursing, but what exactly is poutine?
Oh, poutine is like this absolutely gross dish that the Quebecers came up with. They take fries, they put gravy on it, and some cheese curds.
Yeah, sounds gross, right, Kirk? So gross.
Sounds horrendously fantastic.
I know. I'm just being biased, okay? Because I have to be. But no, it's actually a good dish. It's actually a really good dish. But
oh my gosh, it sounds like something that happened in Louisiana. All right.
Gravy fries. We have those here.
But you know, the original po' boy was
cheese
a
curds.
French fry po' boy. I mean, that's the original. Yeah. Anyways. All right. So we have gone through halfway through the mountain.
Yes.
I think we should probably see a commercial.
Howdy, y'all. This here's Mike. Down at Mike's Golf Shop, where we buy golf. That's right. We buy golf clubs. Mike's Golf Shop. Come on over here. We buy golf clubs. Over at Mike's Golf Shop. Come on down here. We buy golf clubs. That's right. We buy golf clubs. We buy golf clubs. We buy golf clubs. We buy golf clubs. We buy golf clubs.
Hey, you might be okay. This line only eats good food.
Mayflower Buffet. Yes, it really is that good. At the corner of 3rd and Steaks. It's great.
Now that we're back from that commercial, welcome to the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. And we're halfway through our mountain. So, Kaab, where are you going with Link?
With Abraham Lincoln, my Link. I am going international now.
Oh!
Yeah. And it's not comedy. My Link is actually a food show. So I'm actually piggybacking.
Come on,
we're going
do it.
Food show in.
I'm not, this is a total coincidence. I didn't plan this way at all. But this show was quintessential out of Japan. Totally popularized the concept of cooking TV shows. I'm talking about Iron Chef.
Yeah.
The original one. The original one out of Japan. I love binging that show. Literally 90% of my cooking ideas come from that show. And about 90% of those ideas fail also. But I ain't no chef. I can't do the choppy, knifey things that they do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Have you seen how quickly those chefs just cut through a chicken, just cut, make their broth when they're done? It's like I'm like, but the thing is, that's the type of show you don't have to focus on it too much. So if you're doing something else, you can have it on the background and just binge it. But you can learn some cool things about exotic, at least dishes and ingredients that are exotic to me and you. But you know how other people from other part of the world eat them, because like they've done Japanese, they've done like French, they've done Italian on that show, so they've done quite a global cuisine there. So I find in a strange way it's educational, but it's also mouth-watering, and you can just watch it again and again, and it's so epic. Like the drama that they put into it, the music into it, it really grabs your attention. So I just love that show, Iron Chef, the original series out of Japan.
With Morimoto. Yeah.
Morimoto. They brought him in on the later season. Morimoto wasn't there on the...
Yeah. He came in a little bit later, but he was, yeah. Let me just say this without spoiling. not spoiling too much. This does not make my list today. I'll just leave it at that, because we do have next week. What's our topic? Competition shows.
Yes.
Maybe you'll see this one come back there too. But I love this show so dang much. It is so good. There's been, obviously you're talking about the original Japanese one. I loved watching it because it's dubbed and it's really interesting. But then they brought it to America. Food Network took it, and it just obviously just continued being great. I remember there was the matchups with Bobby Flay and Morimoto was like a big deal. It was like a pay-per-view event, right? And then they've actually, have you seen on Netflix, they just brought it back and they did a new
I didn't know that.
They did a new season of it. Alton Brown. I just
really?
finished binging it. Okay. But again, I didn't count on my binges anyway. But I just finished it because it's, they brought it back. Alton Brown hosts it, and they're like a quest to find a new Iron Chef. It's really good. I highly recommend watching it.
I would love to. I didn't even know that.
It's pretty new. It's pretty new. So yeah, love this show. Kirk, what you think about Iron Chef?
It's. I mean, I don't have anything negative to say about it, but food shows are kind of my wife's thing. It's your thing. It's. I'll watch them. I like them. One of the things you brought up, we were going to do a whole food show week. And I was like, okay. I mean, I can think of 4, but it wouldn't be like that wouldn't be a extremely fun episode for me. I can definitely think of fun. I do love learning and watching. Like one of my favorites is like Chopped, which you brought up Chopped before, right? Like having all the 12 different ingredients and having to figure that out. Iron Chef is quite a different type of show. It is super skillful, super and I don't know how many of the original one that I've actually watched, but I have seen a few of them. And for me, the Food Network is, I've got nothing else better to do. Let's put something on in the background and I'll watch it. But I'm not glued to the edge of my seat who's going to win the competition. But there are shows like that I am. And that's why we're doing a competition show next week. And so, probably some food makes it. But I think there might be some other ones that make it as well.
Oh, man. If I was on that next show, Iron Chef would be my Georgie.
Easily. Well, don't influence anyone like Paul. Maybe.
Okay.
Paul's on the show next week.
I could almost guarantee you that it will make an appearance next week in some fashion. So,
well, there you go. There you go.
Kirk, what food show are you going to give us? Oh, I'm sorry, binge show are you going to give us?
Food show.
Well, I mean, I binge eat while watching these shows. So,
it counts.
So look, I'm going to take us on a journey as well. A different kind of journey, though.
Okay.
Like the number 1 hit single from 1981, Don't Stop Believing, right? If you know anything about that, it was in the finale of this show. And Tony Soprano got killed listening to that. I'm going none other than Sopranos for my link. And I absolutely binge watch this. And I have a special place in my heart for the show. I haven't watched it since this point, and I really should probably pick it up again, but I absolutely loved it. I put it as my Benjamin for my theme songs. It was on that theme song. I love The Sopranos. I love everything about it. I love the mobster mafia New York style. But we watched The Sopranos in Iraq. And so when we were over there kind of defending the country and training Iraqi army, I had my sister send over all 6 seasons. I had all 6 seasons. There's 86 episodes. And she sent them all over, and we literally watched it from beginning to end in the time that we were out there in the desert. And I love the show. My wife tried watching it recently, and I don't know that it ages well. Maybe it doesn't age well. I don't know. She was like, I just can't get into it. I'm like, you're crazy. I love this show. So I'm thinking about restarting it. But again, like, where do I put it? Sopranos. It's just an awesome show. And then now we don't have James Gandolfini. He passed away shortly after that. He's had a few other parts after that, but it made him really famous as being Tony. I love this show. So I don't know if you guys watch this, but
I have a hilarious story about The Sopranos.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was in high school, and one of my high school teachers married not Italian, but an Italian Canadian man. Okay, now when she's becoming serious with this guy, so before they're married, she meets his parents, who are actually like Italian. They came to Canada, but like they're still very much Italian. And she's asked them, she's like, "I'm not Italian. How can I learn about Italian culture?" And I kid you not, they said, "Just watch The Sopranos." I was like, okay. Even though it's an American show,
she's like, "I don't want to get in this."
She still got into it, so I don't know.
There's Rosetta Stone, there's whatever, or watch Sopranos. That'll do.
I guess they recommended to her because it is an Italian-American family, so you still get some snippets of
So Italian. Did you guys watch the show?
I've seen it. It's been years, but I have seen it.
Yeah, it's been years. If you look on greatest shows ever, it's in the top 10 on most of them. Some of the other ones in the top 10 I haven't seen, to be honest. And one of them I just recently started. I'll share that at the end because in case nobody says theirs. But it's one of those that I'm grateful for watching, and for the time that I watched it. It's so binge worthy. It's easy. It's 6 seasons. It's not, you're not killing yourself, but it's great. It's deep. It's got a lot of really good moments. So.
To pull a Joe, uncultured
swine.
I'm an uncultured swine over here because I have not watched it.
Hey, man, I know. I think we talked about that when we talked about it in theme music. Yeah, when you're at my house, you're like, "Man, I never seen that." And I was like, "Gosh, I loved it. It was just so good." It was one of those first ones on HBO. That's why I didn't watch it when it came out, right? Because I didn't have the cable, whatever. Yeah. But I purchased them all. Because I got a little bit of extra money for being overseas, a little combat pay. And I ordered all kinds of stuff online. And I was like, I was ordering new movies to have my sister send them over to us. And I ordered the whole set. I was like, "I heard this is great. Let's get it." And we all watched it. I still have it. It's amazing. So anyways, The Sopranos, there's my link. Nice. So, all right, man, where are you going?
Yes, link. Here we go. So this one has 34 episodes, I believe. Yeah, 34 episodes.
Okay.
Total. So not a huge catalog of them, but it is actually not my least amount. We'll talk about that in George. But my link, actually, I got into this late. There was a craze about this show for a while, and really still is. And I got into it late, and I haven't looked back because it's so dang good. It's so good. And my link is Stranger Things. It's so good. I love this show. There's so many reasons. Number one, I didn't grow up in the 80s, but I can appreciate the retro, like the throwback, the things that are happening. Obviously hanging out with Jason for a little while, and just, obviously talking to you, Kirk, and just being appreciative of this kind of thing, and watching movies from the 80s and just kind of seeing a lot of that culture and tie-in and everything is really cool. The Dungeons and Dragons aspect of it, and and just all of that stuff, the mall, the big mall, just everything about it. It's just really cool. So I like that. The music in it, all of the synth type music is really cool. And then listen, the same thing for Walking Dead for me. I don't care what the genre of the show is. I don't care if it's got great storytelling and writing, it just captivates me. Obviously, this one has the twist of the horror and all of that kind of stuff, and not everyone's
soundtrack.
Not everyone's a giant fan of it because for whatever reason they're just not into it as much. But gosh, I love this show. Let me say this. As a youth pastor, my kids would tell me about it all the time. And I used to always just be like, no, I'm not going to watch that. I'm just not going to do it. And for some reason, I think it was this summer, I had some time to kill. And I was like, you know what? Let's start this show. Me and my wife started this, and we love it. Now, here's the thing. Don't give me spoilers because I have not watched the 4th season yet. Okay. I've watched 1, 2, and 3.
I'm still on my first.
Okay, cool. So I'm actually further along than you guys. So I just don't want spoilers here. But the reason is that we've just kind of been in this kick lately where it's like, I know, this show is so deep and it's so like it just, you think about it a lot, right? Like there's a lot of darkness to it and just, it's really deep that it's like, I need some comedy shows for a little while. And then I'm going to come back to season 4. Like, let me balance my life a little bit. Kind of the same reason I got out of The Walking Dead. Right. But I just love this show. The characters in it are great. You've got Winona Ryder in it and that's just really cool. I mean, that itself is like an 80s throwback. It's like an 80s throwback right there. Right. So it's just really cool. I love Stranger Things. I know that it's been a craze lately, past 8 years or whatever, however long it's been out now. So that's my link. I can't say much more.
Has it been 8 years?
I don't know. I don't know if it's been 8.
Well, season 4, it can't be 8 years.
I don't really know exactly.
So here's the thing. I watched episode 1. Let me just go there. I've watched more than episode 1, but let me just tell you about episode 1. So I watched episode 1. And I'm like, gosh, I'm digging this, right? 80s, music, things, mall, BMX bikes, Dungeons and Dragons, whole 9 yards. I'm like, this show is so awesome. And then every show since then has gotten further away from episode 1 that I watched, okay? And so I watched all of the first season and then maybe the first 2 or 3 of the second season. And I was like, gosh, it's just not hitting me like that first season did. And I've come to like grips with it that I almost want it like a Goonies type feel. Like I wanted these kids to go out on this journey and find, the pirate and Cobblepot and and find all these things and do silly stuff like from the 80s. And although they're there and they have major parts, but it takes a much different turn. Like it's not funny as much as it's more serious. Like you said, there's a lot of really serious themes. And I then realized that it was going into the horror genre more so than like I'm okay. Like it went from like I wanted it to be Goonies to it being like an extreme Resident Evil, right? That's just kind of how I felt. And I haven't given up on it. I know it's great. I just haven't brought myself back to restart because I want to restart from the beginning. I want to watch it from the beginning now that there's 4 of them out, 4 seasons, and just watch that thing through kind of like what you're doing. And that's one of the reasons I haven't gone back to Walking Dead. Because it's like, do I start here? But I forgot what happened in the first season. Like, those are the kind of things that always get me. I know it's great. It's got a great following for a reason. I asked before this, did anybody put any Netflix shows? If you put a Netflix show on that wasn't this one, I mean, like this has got to be their George. If they were going to put a Rushmore of their best shows ever, I'm sure this has got to be on it. I mean, like, got to be.
2016, by the way. I looked it up. 2016.
There you go. Stranger Things. It's not shocking. Hey, fun story. When we were at the Dream Center, Stranger Things was filming all the time, and they actually was like 3 blocks down where 11 and
really?
And all the kids and all that were staying in the apartment complex right up the road at Ponce. So
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they filmed in Atlanta. Probably.
Walking Dead was also here in Atlanta. We take the picture from Frontline, right where he walks in. So yeah, Atlanta's was big for a lot of these TV shows. But yeah, Stranger Things is a great show. I'm sure it's going to be in the comments a lot. It's really, really big, and I'm not hating on it. It's a great show. It's
Kaab, you said you're 1 season in. What's your thoughts? What you think about Stranger Things?
Well, I resisted watching this show for the longest time just because I had no idea what it was about. And what actually sold me on it was someone told me that it's been taking more of a turn towards horror. And I love horror movies. I love anything horror. So I'm not getting much horror yet, but I'm optimistic.
Start season 2.
Okay. So I'm optimistic.
Once episode 2 or episode 1 of season 2 starts, you're like, wait,
this is different.
Did I start the same show?
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'm excited because so far I'm kind of just
I will say this. I love the concept of the Upside Down.
Oh yeah.
I'll just say that. I love the concept of the Upside Down. And Dungeons and Dragons is what really sold me in this thing. Because as a kid, this is something I always wanted to do. And I never actually knew someone that did this. Now as an adult, people do it. And I'm like, is it okay if a 44-year-old starts as Dungeons and Dragons? You know? I don't know. I always as a kid wanted to do it. But anyways.
Oh, good one. Okay. Well, there you go.
All right.
Is my link,
man. So we're at the George. We're at the Paramount. Let's go, Kaab. Let's finish this mountain off, man.
George Washington. I picked this is the man that is known for fighting the British Empire and liberating America from it. So what did I do for my George Washington? I picked a British TV show. Not to make any political statement or anything, but just because I think this is the most bingeable TV show I have ever watched. I can't even tell you how many times I've binged it. Like if I'm bored or if I'm working on something and just need distractions, I will put this show on. So I must have binged it over 100 times. Like, not making this up. It is from the 1970s, and I think we were talking about this before the show. British humor can be a little hard to follow sometimes, but not this one. This one's a very unique show. It's not your typical British humor type of show. It's called Mind Your Language. My roommate of all people had heard of it even before I introduced him to it. But the premise of the show is simply this, okay? You have a guy named Mr. Brown. He's an English teacher, and he tries to teach English to a bunch of foreign students that are living in England. And the whole premise of the show is basically play on words. Until you watch this show, you will never guess how many ways you can make a pun, make a riddle, or simply just mess up the English language until you watch this show.
This sounds right up our alley, Andy.
I do love puns.
Yeah, that show is just pun central. That's all it is. It's just like playing on that, and then there's more elements to it. Like you have the principal, who's like this very stern British woman that doesn't like humor at all. So it's like they have scenes with her and then the other students and all that. But yeah, I think the show ran for 3 or 4 seasons, and obviously it is an old show, so most of the actors and actresses in it have since passed away. But I would say their memory lives on. And in terms of why it's bingeable, I would say it's witty, crafty humor. It's just you can just listen to it endlessly and still laugh at it. At least I do.
So it's not very often that I get stumped. Like I usually at least know it. And we talked about a few of these things. I was like, he's going British. I named all the popular ones. I don't recognize this, so I pulled it up. A few things. It was 4 seasons, and it was 42 episodes. So it looks like something I need to pick up and watch.
I think you'll like it.
It goes back to that comment we talked about. How come British filming hasn't updated their lenses? Because everything is filmed in brown. I mean, it's just everything's brown.
For all we know, we're thinking it's the 70s. This could have been filmed in 2021, and it looks this way.
It just looks like that. It just looks like that.
No, here's the thing. I've never heard of this either. But and okay, let me just say this because we've talked about this. But just so the Rushmore Show knows this, I am not ashamed to say this. I'm not a fan.
You should be.
I'm not a fan of British comedy or much of
that's racist. Is that racist?
That's the worst game show ever. Is that racist? But here's the thing. You're supposed to like it. Okay, hot take. I'll just even say it because I'm already walking off the ledge here.
You did it last week. You might as well say it again.
I don't like Monty Python. I don't like it.
This is when the tomatoes come out, the gong show.
I know. I'm used to it. Listen, my link last week was The Office. The British Office sucks. It's not good. We took it, and it just is way better. I don't know what it is about most British things. I don't like it. However,
American made most things English better. I mean,
like freedom, like is everything, right?
Democracy, the
tea,
English muffin,
tea. Like, yeah. I mean, come on. Anyway, but here's
fish and chips.
I say all this to say this. I have not heard of this one, but you're telling me it's a little bit different than your average British thing. So I'm open to going and checking it out. And then you throw in puns and things like that. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely check it out. I'm not
so let me ask you this, and this show may make an appearance later as well. Is it kind of like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yes, but I would say a little more witty than that.
Oh.
Yeah. Whose
line is it anyway?
It's a great one.
It's one of my. It's a great.
It is. No, it is. But just put in British accents and then just make it a notch more wittier than Whose Line.
Okay. Then I might have to pick this up.
I'm going to check it out tonight, just so you know.
It is a little.
We will have a comment down below.
Putting that out there
for this.
I will comment and agree with you when this episode airs. Sounds
all right. With George, gosh, this one was easy for me. This is easily on my Rushmore favorite shows of all time. It's something that I've finished. I finished it right before I finished Elementary, and then I did Elementary. Like I went back to back, and then the show that I finished right before this is actually in my Benjamins. So I told you I like observation. I like just the idea of deduction and whatever. The one thing about Sherlock that I didn't bring up is that he is usually sarcastic and a complete jerk. Take Sherlock Holmes, take him out of the detective world and put him in the hospital, and what do you get? House MD. My favorite show, probably of all time, has to be Old Dr. House. This show is just a freaking banger. This show is so good. He could have played Sherlock in Elementary. It's the same guy. It is the same exact guy. He's a rude to everybody. He is a smart aleck. He is a addict. He pops pills. He does off the wall stuff that nobody else will do. There's lots of drama. There's a little bit of love. You watch him go in benders and cycles, but he's like the smartest man ever. Like he is, and it just fascinates me. These type of guys is like what I would like. I'm so fascinated by these guys. Like, I kind of wish I was that smart, but I'm glad I'm not, type thing. Like, it's the two sides of it. Great show. It took me on a wild ride. And by the way, the finale, this is 3 episodes in a row, and Practical Joker's finale hasn't really happened yet, but these 3 dramas, Elementary, Sopranos, and House, their final episodes, all were amazing and all made me cry. I love them. I love this show. I might even start it again right now, even though I don't have the time. I'm going to finish the shows I'm watching, but this show is so amazing. House.
Good pick, man. I watched that when it was on TV. So yeah, I wouldn't say.
So I did watch this when it was on TV,
mm-hmm.
and then I stopped watching and I didn't finish, and I went back and started it over and rewatched it from the beginning, which got me in this obsession that I need to start over all those shows that I attempted back in the day, like The Walking Dead and maybe Stranger Things, was because of this one. Mm. And so this show had 8 seasons, 177 episodes. Actually, it had 178 because the last episode, right after the last episode, they do like a making of right after, and it kind of goes through it all. Love this show. Just love this show. Anyways.
It's a fabulous show. I used to love it in high school. I actually totally forgot it existed. Man, if I remembered, it might have actually made the cut for me.
As long as
But
it
anyway,
took out
if you like Elementary, or you
Yeah.
like a few of the other shows that I'm going to bring in my Benjamins, I'm almost positive they're coming out. This is the Grey's Anatomy version, right? But it's edgier.
It's edgier, yeah.
Better. And you know what? McKenna's watched Grey's Anatomy like 50 times. It's like 14 seasons. Who does that? That's 50. That's like a whole year and a half of your life. And now she's watching this, and she admittedly said that this show is amazing. So even people that watch the more dramatic relational side really will get into this. I love this show.
Well, there you go. Good pick. I like
There's
that
the
one.
George, man. And I knew this is the only one that was really on my list that was immovable.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, all right, Andy, finish it up, man. Where are we going?
The last one, man. Here we go. My George is actually, out of all four of my shows that I will have mentioned today, has the least amount of episodes.
Okay.
But every episode is just a work of art and is fantastic. I love it. So this is on a streaming service. If I give it away right now, you'll just know automatically. This is on a streaming service. 2 seasons of this. It's not done though. So there you go. That might give it away for some people. My George is my George Lucas, and I'm going to go Mandalorian is my George of binge-worthy TV shows. Here's the thing, guys. I love Star Wars. Star Wars has so much in their universe of shows that they've put on, obviously the movies and just every, thing that is specials and just all those things that have come out through Star Wars. But as of recent, I say relatively recent in the grand scheme of Star Wars, they've started putting out these series, that have come out, and it's fantastic, man. And Mandalorian really is kind of the highlight of that. 16 episodes, like I said. This has introduced the whole idea of the Mandalores. Just that whole you kind of have that Boba Fett feel and just everything, and which then gets tied in with the Book of Boba Fett, which is another series. Did not make my list because it's not nearly as good as The Mandalorian. In fact, it didn't get really it got better when Mandalorian became part of it. And so anyway, The Mandalorian's great. You bring in Grogu, or as many people for the longest time before they knew it was Baby Yoda. My kids even today will say Baby Yoda and things like that, but I have to correct them that it's Grogu. I love this show because I can't watch one episode. Just like all of my criteria, there's like, I had to, obviously binging, I'm not content with one episode because it's just a continual story. So much so that this has brought me to the idea of this. I think this, and maybe I'm alone on an island in this, and I'll just throw this out there and I'll let you guys kind of talk about this. I like this approach to Star Wars, making it series. And I say that because I just feel like you can get so much more depth in story when you're just extending these out rather than sticking it to a, hour and a half, 2 hour long movie. You got to get everything in there. Obviously they've had more than that. So you've got sequels and trilogies and all kinds of craziness that's happening. But when I look at specific ones like the Han Solo movie, I liked the Han Solo movie. I thought it was good. But I really would have loved if Han Solo was a series, that we could have got a lot more out of this one movie. We could have extended this and gotten so much out of it. And this was probably before that was like really the thing that was happening. But I just love this approach to it. They've had the Obi-Wan Kenobi mini series that came out, was just amazing. But it all comes back to me to this. And the reason I picked this one, because I could have put all Star Wars binge things on my list because I love Star Wars. The one to me that stands out above them all and really kind of kickstarted it all and is just great. And I'm so looking forward to February 2023 is the last I heard. Supposed to be season 3 is going to be coming out, which is not too much further from now. is the Mandalorian. You know, when they bring out the dark saber thing or whatever, like, just, it's so cool. I mean, I could talk about this forever. The Mandalorian, the whole suit and everything just looks great. It looks amazing. The song that happens in it, all of the miniseries that Star Wars has come out with have had their own like song that is specific to that, and it's just so cool. So yeah, obviously I could talk about it for a long time, but my number one most binge worthy. I will continue. I've binged it probably 3 times. You know, it's not long and there's not many of them. So I've been able to do that. But The Mandalorian, my number one. So thoughts on Mandalorian? What you guys think?
So yeah, I told you this right before. I have not rewatched this, which probably gives you a little inside track on how you can get that in there. I have only watched this as they came out every single week on a Wednesday. I've even woken up in the middle of the night at like 3 a.m. when it released to watch this episode. I love this show. It is by far the George of science fiction television for me. It's probably the George of short series, like streaming TV, if you would. I loved Boba Fett. I think it got a lot of unnecessary hate and for certain things. I loved all of them. And I just started Andor the other day. I didn't get all the way through. I'm in like episode 2, and I think episode 4 just came out maybe. So I got to get caught up with that. It's kind of starting slow, but it's a different storyline. I love all things Star Wars. The reason this did not make my list is I never binged it. Yeah. I watched it immediately and I haven't gone back. If I would have binged this, or if I would have watched this 3 years from now, I would binge watch the whole thing straight. It's just that good. I love the idea that it's like a Western.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Westerns, but it's a sci-fi Western. I love how it introduces characters that were in the cartoon that a lot of people may not have seen, or the comic book, like Cad Bane, and things like that. I love that it's branching off in new episodes, and we cannot have this. We cannot have the Rushmore of anything Star Wars without mentioning the fact that Luke Skywalker showed up on this show.
Yeah.
And I can't remember a time that I not only got chills and was like jaw to the floor, but I was almost sobbing like a baby. I was like, this is my childhood. It's back. And it looked so good. And then it's so funny, like all these really amazing people come up and like, it didn't look good, and they made it even better. They made it better than it. Yeah. And so that started the whole problem that everybody looks bad, that everybody can redo it. Great show. My son went as Mandalorian for Halloween last year. I have nothing bad to say about it, except I didn't binge it. And I probably will binge it eventually, but I didn't binge it, along with several of the other Disney Plus shows like Loki and Hawkeye and all those Marvel shows that are freaking amazing. I watched them as soon as they came out. Moon Knight. So those probably would all make it, but I immediately nixed them in my criteria.
Yeah. Kaab, what you think of Mando?
Just the same thing. Great show. I love watching it, but I guess the reason I can't binge it is there's too much detail, too much lore in it, and I find myself focusing too much on the show itself. So I just feel like it will be hard for me to binge it. But like Kurt said, I have nothing bad to say about the actual show. I love it.
If you're a Star Wars fan and you don't love it, shame on you. Get over your fanboy self. There's a little hot take for you didn't even ask for. All right.
You've said it before. Star Wars fans are some of the worst fans.
Gosh. There's only a few fans worse than that. Yankee fans, Saints fans, LSU fans. Oh, that's me. And that's why I can't stand it. Like, I love all those things, but being around other people when Okay. Frustrating.
Bulldogs fans, the worst.
There you go. That
All right. So
our Rushmore of binge-worthy TV shows. Guys, in the comments, please let us know. You guys know the drill. Put them in there. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are there some that we missed? What were we forgetting to think about? What do you like to binge? Do you have any?
Let me just say this. I want to start this trend. And hopefully it gets a little deeper, because sometimes I watch some people's stuff and people like Randy, and I miss my friend Andrew. He's been super busy at work. He told me he's got to get caught back up. But they used to put their criteria in. Sometimes people put their stuff and it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm like, why would you pick that? And then some people like mention my shows, because I always kind of go off the deep end a little bit. But I'm just quirky and weird sometimes. Most people are like, you get to know me a lot watching the show, that I'm different than most I do. But anyways, before you give us your top 4, tell us a little bit about why. Tell us a little why. I mean, that would be great. Because it just makes more sense. My friend Kaab here, he's so cultured. He's gonna go all over the world and give you all kinds of decades. I mean, that's
because on an international journey.
Yeah, we went on a few journeys this week, didn't we?
Just wait.
But look, now it's time to take another journey. Now it's time to take another journey. A journey back to the Benjamins.
We are going to give you our binge amends.
All right, Kaab. So you haven't been on the show in quite some time. We changed the criteria. This has been our final segment for quite a few weeks now. We figured it is the best way to finish off the show. And we'll add some of those other segments with our guests for some shorts and stuff later, like Who's Your George? Or we've played a few contests with you and done a few stuff like that. But it's going to be Who's Your Benjamin? So you're going to bring up Benjamin is our fun way of saying honorable mentions. And we figured, we didn't have any Crushmores.
None.
So guess what?
And we can't crush more here.
Because a part of our show, but the second part is that you can't crush. So we're literally going to have 24. So this is kind of like our top 24 most binge-worthy shows. Rushmore, if you are looking for something to watch, we're giving you the top 24 right here. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to snake draft it, kind of fantasy football style. We picked that up. Kaab, you're going to start. I'll go second. Andy's going to pick 2 in a row, come back around. I'll go. Kaab, you're going to pick 2 in a row. We'll come back. I'll go. Andy will finish his off, and then you'll come back and finish yours off. So we're going to name 4, but we can't repeat somebody else's show. So if it's mentioned, you got to go with another one.
You got to take it off.
I've got about 7 or 8 here just in case you name mine. I don't think you're going to name any of mine. I probably just need my top 4. There's a few on here you might. So, Kaab, you're going to start us off with your first Benjamin. And then also in the Benjamin side, you only need 1 or 2 sentences to kind of.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. What would you like to add?
I would like to add Wentworth, Australian TV show, kind of like a prison TV show, highly bingeable, really hilarious to watch.
Keeping with the
Why am I not shocked with
his next show is going to be from Mars. It's going to be
all right. So look, you guys will all understand this. I took this show off of my TJ Jazzy Jeff. I inserted elementary, but it's so elementary just to switch one Sherlock with the other. I'm going with none other than the British Sherlock. And the reason I took it off is because it's 4 seasons of 4 episodes or 3 episodes. It's only like 12 episodes. And so it's freaking amazing. Benedict Cumberbatch. This was his basic.
All right.
Love it.
Okay. So I said,
we need 2.
I said in my criteria that I wasn't going to repeat things. Well, they're going to make my Benjamins because they should have been on my list. But my criteria eliminated it. Here we go. The Office, for one of my Benjamins.
No way.
Because I just
You wouldn't say
that I binge all the time. And
It's a
then
good
I get a second pick here, so we'll just keep it anticlimactic and we'll go Parks and Recreation.
You don't do that.
My top two binge
Well, there goes one of mine.
of all time.
You don't.
I got to get them out of the way. They didn't make the Rushmore, but they're definitely going to make the binge.
So his George and his length of sitcoms is now. Here we go. All right.
Yeah, they're just that
All right.
good.
So I get my next pick. Hey, I'm gonna go with another. I mean, I love keeping with the theme. I'm going with another observation deduction show. Another one I just binge watched. I watched this right before House. The Mentalist.
Okay.
Love this shit.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, so Kaab, you get 2 picks.
You get 2 picks, Kaab. You're number 2 and number 3.
Okay, I'm gonna take us to the 1960s.
Oh,
Columbo.
taking us on it. Oh my God!
I love that
Columbo.
show. I love that show.
Pause. Time
yeah.
out. I don't care. We don't usually talk a lot about this, but this is very, very heartfelt for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is one of my dad's favorite shows. Dude, he
One of my
watched
mom's
this
favorite shows.
every single day of his life. Oh my God. Columbo.
Okay.
Wow.
This is one of those reasons I like detective shows. I watched that with Dad. Anyways,
No, I used to watch detective shows with my mom all the time. Columbo, Murder, She Wrote, you name it.
Perry Mason.
Perry Mason, yeah.
Keep going.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so Columbo, and finally, or not finally, but my second choice in this round would be Letterkenny, the classic Canadian show that's on Hulu in the US. I'm a little biased. It's inspired by a town that's 15 miles away from where I used to live.
Yeah.
Brings me very close to home watching that show.
Paul mentioned it in the comments for sitcoms, and I've seen clips. I don't think I've ever watched it, and I just don't know what's happening. But it's hilarious. Like the things that I've seen,
I had to go look it up. I had never even heard of it yet.
Yeah.
So this is something, obviously it's a thing. I got to go watch this show. I got to go watch it. Now look, I'm not going to shock you guys. Another detective type show, probably the George of suspenseful detective shows. I'm going with none other than Criminal Minds.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so I get to go with my last 2 here. And Kirk, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take one away from you because we talked about this earlier. I watched this show around the time when it came out. A friend of mine illegally downloaded it to a DVD and pirated this thing and gave me the DVDs to watch. And it's Lost.
Oh,
Definitely.
okay. You brought it up. This is the show that I just started, and I have not watched it ever. I just started this show because I had a feeling it should make this, but there you go. And there's another show that I wish I watched more too, but no, I didn't watch that one.
Yep.
So maybe he's not going to pick it.
Now my last one to end this off. This is a show that was actually introduced to me by my wife via Kirk's wife. And we watched this. I'm not ashamed to even
Is it Housewives?
A Million Little Things from ABC. We don't talk about this much. The reason it's binge-worthy, no friend group ever goes through as much drama as this one friend group. If I was part of this group, I'm moving across the country. I want nothing to do with these people because like somebody's got cancer and then somebody dies and then somebody is a movie star and then that doesn't happen in real life. It's crazy. But I want to keep watching episodes because I'm like, what's happening? Somebody gets hit by a car. Anyway, it's crazy. So that's my last one, Million Little Things. Kirk, what's your
my last pick, and I'm really sad that you guys didn't pick some of these off my list because they're not going to get mentioned. It's sad. I hate this news episode where we don't get to say them all. Anyways, all right, I'm going to go with Prison Break.
Nice.
Prison Break. So that's what I'm finishing with my group.
Hey,
Top?
we have 2 prison shows now. Wentworth and Prison Break. So
good
pick.
pick. How are you ending the show? Please pick. and you're not going to do it. You're going to pick something from like New Zealand.
No, actually, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to the U.S. for this one.
Okay, here we go.
Hawaii Five-0. I love. It's like
Hawaii
yeah, just like the combination of detective, action, suspense. It's everything.
You talking about original?
But you
or
have to
the
clarify. Is it the new one or the old one? We going 1980, 70, whatever it was, or you going the one that was just
the new one? The new one. I haven't even seen the original one.
The new one. The new one. Okay. I watched a few episodes of that. I really haven't seen a whole lot of it, but man.
There you go, guys. There you go. That is our mountain. Those are our Benjamins. We have given 24 shows for the Rushmore Show, the Rushmore community to check out for those that need something.
All right,
to watch.
I'm going to break the rules because I'm really breaking the rules, but nobody said Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
and I'm going to go out and tell you this: I've only watched the first season of that show too, and if you put it on your list, I know why. But it goes back to my thing. I got to get caught up. I just have to get caught up. This show is amazing. All right, Rushmore Show. We've now given you 24, maybe 25 or 6, whatever it is, of the greatest binge-worthy shows ever. If you watched all these shows back to back, all episodes, you probably would never have any time this year to do anything else. So don't do that. Instead, binge watch the Rushmore Show.
Do that.
At our YouTube and go back and start it over and rewatch them all. We're still fighting to get those hours in, but we love you guys. We thank you guys. It's been a fun time. We see you in the comments. Give us your criteria, your top 4 shows. Tell Kaab, what you think about British humor and Australian movies and all that other stuff. And
Japanese, yeah, everything.
Japanese. I don't know. Yeah, this is a great show, and they're always getting better. Of course, they always do. We have our friend Paul on soon. We talked about it. Competition shows. Andy, we got both of our wives coming.
Yeah, man.
Not together this time, but separately.
Yeah, 2 different episodes. So 2 weeks in a row.
Documentary, docuseries show, and nostalgia classics, if you will. One of the reasons you haven't seen a bunch of those classics that are all in the sitcoms is because they're coming. They're coming.
Yeah, man. So it has been a blast. Kaab, always a great time having you on here.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
I look forward all the time to hearing your different takes on things, and always think of things that we didn't think of. So it's really a pleasure to have you on.
So I'm going to go back and watch Whose Line Is It Anyways, and then I'm going to watch your show and see what's better.
Find your language. Thanks for having me, guys. It's always fun doing this.
Well, Andy, tell our friends good night.
Well, before we do that, at the time of the filming right now, we are 2 subs away from 200. 2 away from 200.
We're at 198
at the time of recording. So by the time this is out, this may be news. But
also, just a real quick update. How's your fantasy football team going there, Andrew?
So let's close this show out like we always do. It's not going well. Just not. It's not a great time. Let's not end it depressing. Let's end it happy. Let's end it like we always do. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4
and nothing more.
Peace.